a lot of these.
I was Mr. Irrelevant for a while, and now I've had like 4 radio spots today.
Yeah.
I was on live earlier with MLB.
You were on the MLB Network?
Yeah, live. And I'm like, what?
For what was it for? Just for this?
Yeah.
Just for opening day?
Yeah, Matt and Chris Young, and then they had the ghost guest. I had a blurred guest, and I had to figure out who it was. It was Whit Merrifield taking shots. But,
really?
Yeah, I picked up on the voice, so I called him out.
What'd he say?
He said he was always mad at me because I told him his whole career that his dad was a much better player than he was, and I never came off of it. His dad was a great player. You didn't know that probably.
No, I did know that. Mr. Bill, yeah, he could play.
Bill Merrifield, he's like the Triple Crown guy at Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hit bombs, he played third, he could run, he could do it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Whit was a pretty good player.
Do you think you were harder on Whit, or was his dad harder on Whit?
Probably his dad could have been, but because I got him first, his dad was probably a little bit better on him than I was. They have a great relationship, and I think now they've taken it to the golf course. So I think that's where they battle at the most now.
He can play some golf.
And his dad can too. So that, you know, I'm one of the only, maybe I wasn't a very good baseball player, but most baseball players are really good at golf.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not. Well, one of the reasons is I never played because in the summer I was always chasing baseball players.
Yeah.
And then you go to the fall, you got practice, and then you can't play in December. Then the spring you're playing. So when the coaches get to play?
Well, some coaches find time to play, but they might not be very good coaches.
Well, they might not have had good players.
Is that? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, Stuart Lake. You know Stuart Lake.
Yeah, but those are maybe the ones that might not win as much as you won, you know?
Well, maybe.
So how about that logo there? Does that make you feel uncomfortable? Because you don't like all this stuff.
No, I would have had I had it the choice in the deal, I probably wouldn't be looking at that. But not to say that I'm not honored and humbled by it, but when I see that name down there, it really just represents all the guys that came through this program. Bobby Richardson, June Raines, the tradition of Carolina baseball, this stadium, our donors that were so passionate about coming here, you know, during regional time and super regionals. That's what it's all about. And, you know, they put my name down there. I thought for a while I'd be able to kind of avoid that, but eventually I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're so humble about it, and I know you always give all the credit to the players and the coaches, but none of those guys would have been here if it wasn't for you. You know, and now you like, you know, with Coach Maneri here, everybody keeps talking about, and we've done it too. I'm guilty of this. Now that I've gotten a chance to talk to Coach Maneri 4 or 5 times, like in depth, really nice private conversations and public, y'all do remind me of each other from an accountability standpoint, and you're so consistent in winning in your career, right? But accountability is a large part of that.
Well, I think there are some similarities. You know, both of us, I think maybe it's part of it is when we came through and we're similar in age, I guess. But the fact that you have to respect this game, it's a hard game, and we both came from the school of fundamentals, you know, and he had his dad, who's the legendary coach, Demi Maneri.
Yep.
And, you know, we believe in throwing to the right base. We believe in moving a runner up. We believe in if you can hit a 3-run homer, you play it that way. We believe in the bullpen. I think there's so many things in how you run a team, and especially at practice, that this is important. It's not just going through the motions. This is important. I used to tell the players all the time, the mistakes that you make at practice will get us beat. Therefore, I will emphasize those to you in a way that you want to appreciate. And that wasn't, you know, screaming and swearing, but it was getting their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because on game day, I can't do that. You can't coach a guy on game day. You got to cheer for the guy.
Right.
And so I think we had some similarities that way. And the game is so hard. You want to make sure that you keep your team in a position that you don't make mistakes that'll get you beat. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you hit 4 balls to the warning track, they don't go out, so you lose. But, if you give bases away or you walk too many guys or you throw the wrong base, all you're doing is putting yourself in a position to lose.
Coach, I want to I have wanted to ask this question for years to you. When you left NC State to come here, and the story that I got on this is that Dr. McGee called Rod Dado at Southern Cal. You correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But called Rod Dado at Southern Cal, who won 11 national championships. For anybody who's wondering, you got 9 more to go to catch him. He asked. He was having a hard time trying to figure out who to replace Coach Raines, and they said you need to hire Ray Tanner at NC State. A, is that true? And B, why does maybe the best baseball coach, or why did the best baseball coach in the history of the game recommend you for this job?
Well, I think Dr. McGee's reaction was, who? Yeah, it's like, who? I was just up the road a little ways, but yeah. there was a connection to Southern Cal and Rod Dado, the great, the legendary Rod Dado, but he had Mike Gillespie come in after that. Remember Mike Gillespie?
Yes, sir.
Well, Mike Gillespie and I became friends. I had played Southern Cal up at the Chapel Hill Invitational when they used to bring teams in, and we played very well against Southern Cal and beat them. And I ended up recruiting some on the West Coast. People go, "You went to the West Coast recruiting?" I did. I mean, if somebody said there's a good player somewhere, I'll go. And then we became good friends. Mike and I did, and Dr. McGee had hired Mike at Southern Cal, and so the connection was there. And I don't think that, much like my wife, I wasn't the first choice, apparently. but Mike, Mike said to Dr. McGee, you got a guy right up the road that might be good for your program. And I think that was the reason he called me. And he, the late Dr. Mike McGee was awesome. And he, Outland Trophy winner at Duke. And he told me, so I don't know a lot about baseball, but I'd like to win.
Yeah.
The Southeastern Conference is difficult. I said, yeah, I'm impressed with the conference. I think if you can win in that league, you can win it all. So one thing led to another. And of course, my wife she did her undergrad work here, and we'd met at NC State. So it just kind of all came together. And that was in 96. And Dr. McGee and I met in Tennessee because I was traveling with the USA team. And I said, I can't take a visit.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, I'll come see you. So he came to see me, and one thing led to another, and I accepted the job. And she basically had talked to him more than I did, which I found out later.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. He knew, he realized that she was an undergrad. She loved it here. So he made sure that she was ready to come.
Yeah.
She was more than ready. And then I was just an afterthought.
So she told you that you're taking the job at South Carolina?
Yeah, and I did. People tell you crazy stories. I had no idea what my salary was when I took the job. I had no idea.
What? Wow.
I just figured that, I wasn't making that much in Raleigh, so I was going to at least be in the same position. Right?
That is
nobody said I was the smartest coach in the country.
I don't know.
You got Smoke and Havens and Cisco and Balk. Now you're going to win a few games. That doesn't mean you're smart.
This guy's helped you. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, Mike said earlier, we were asking him about you. I can't believe you agreed to this roast tomorrow night, by the way.
Well, I don't know about this roast thing. I'm still.
You might nix it.
I'm not gonna.
Well, what about him? You gonna let him get up there and talk about you?
Oh no, we're putting him on a jet in the morning. The stormtrooper, we're gonna put him on duty somewhere. But we're gonna send him away. So yeah, I talked to Whit this morning, and apparently he's trying to take charge. But those guys, I don't know that they want to really get me that well, because I still remember things pretty good, and I still got a lot that I could use against him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of them are married with children and families. Did they really want to take me on?
Well, that's the best benefit about being roasted, Coach, is you're the last one who gets the last word, right?
Yeah. The first thing I asked when Justin was coming. I said, well, is Kristen going to be with him?
Mhm.
And I just want to make sure that if I have to keep him in check, that she's there to know about it.
Right. Yeah. She does a pretty good job of that herself, but
that she does.
oh yeah, she's the breadwinner now, you know. He just goes and takes people's money on the golf course, and they sell all the hats downtown, her and Adele. And I joke with Mike, I'm like, you're a ham salesman.
You've been in the hat store?
Yeah, it's something.
I've been in there a couple of times too.
Yeah. Did Miss Karen get one?
No, she didn't get one, but I think Emily Beamer got one in the hat store.
She did.
Yeah. So it's pretty impressive. But I mean, God bless Kristen. she's had to take care of Justin her entire life. I mean, he might could drive a boat and he might can hit a golf ball, but in his day he hit a few baseballs, and that's probably where it stops. That's about it.
But he's the smartest baseball player I've ever been around. It's amazing how it clicks with him out there.
He was a special player, obviously, but I got to tell you a quick story about him. I didn't have technology back in my day, so his freshman year, and he was good. He was in the lineup, and he was hitting about 275 at the break at the midseason. And I'm like driving myself crazy, because one of the things as a coach that meant a big deal to me was I got to maximize the player's ability.
Mm-hmm.
Think if he's a pitcher, right fielder, is he as good as he can be? And if the answer is no, then it's my fault. Even though I didn't coach the outfielders or the pitchers, that was one thing that drove me nuts if he didn't. And I didn't think Justin was realizing his potential at the halfway point. He was doing okay, hit a few homers. But I went back and looked at every single at bat he had through the entire season. And I had to do it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on a board, a grease board. And I put every count that he put the ball in play or missed. 2-2 count, 1-2 count, 3-1 count, whatever. So we went through every single at bat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not surprising to me, but I had to prove it to him. He was a very good hitter, very patient, right?
Right.
Looking for strikes. He was hitting with 2 strikes way too much, a high percentage of time. Well, in the history of Major League Baseball, with 2 strikes, you hit under 200. So I said to him, hey, you see this? We don't want to go to 2 strikes.
Yeah.
You got to hunt something to hit and go. Just turn it loose. I don't care if you chase one once in a while, it's okay. And he wore it out in the second half. He started buggy whipping a little bit. So.
Yeah, because he ended up hitting over 300 his freshman year, I think, right?
Yeah, bunch of homers.
Do you see any similarities in him and Ethan Petrie and how they approach the game? I mean, as far as offensively?
Well, the fact that Justin was a switch hitter separates him a little bit.
Sure.
But, the thing that's similar, I think they're just 2 big-time players. That there's power opposite field. There's, Justin put up numbers in the big leagues too, not just here. So, and Petrie, I think will do the same thing in time. I think there's a lot of comparisons.
One of the reasons I ask you that, Coach, is because I think that's one of the things that Ethan got caught with last year. You had the league had kind of made their adjustments to him as a player, right, in his sophomore year. It's not like he had a bad year last year. He hit 306 with 23 home runs or whatever it was. But I also felt like he found himself with 2 strikes a lot, and if he didn't, maybe he would have been up over 350, 360. I don't know. Who knows, right? But just hitting with 2 strikes a lot last year, if they can cut down on that, you feel like he could have as good of a year as anybody.
Well, I'll give you a stat that is pretty real. So in college baseball, if you're a hitter, you get 7 pitches in an at bat. Let's just call it 7 pitches. 5 of those are normally in a hitter's favor, at least 4. So let's be realistic about the pitcher that you're facing. You're not facing Greg Maddux. Mm-hmm. You're not facing Garrett Cole, although we did face him one time.
Yeah,
but you're going to get something to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So if a guy just throws you a get me over breaking ball, right, and you take it for strike 1, Petrie should hit it in those seats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I think if I talked to the team yesterday for a little while, and it's one thing Coach Maneri said, look, say whatever you want to say. I said, I got to be careful. I'll start coaching in here. He said, I don't care if you coach. Just tell them what you got to tell them. And that was one thing I emphasized. Be aggressive. Make some things happen. You got a guy at third with 1 out. You go to 2 strikes. I got a problem.
Right.
What are you going to 2 strikes for? Drive the guy in.
Yeah.
You know, the pitcher is obviously not comfortable. He's got a guy over there with less than 2 outs. That guy's going to score.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put yourself in a hole.
Right. Has that been missing a little bit from this group the last couple? I mean, they've had some great moments, you know that, but it feels there's been a lot of frustrating moments out there too. That maybe some of that's returning. I don't know.
We'll see. I know that the man leading the troops today, Coach Maneri, I mean, he thinks that way too, and I think the sense of urgency is going to be at a level that maybe you haven't seen in a while. And I don't mean pressure. I mean just urgency.
Sure.
You know, it's the heightened awareness that you got to bring to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, you talk about it all the time. It's a hard game. I mean, you can square up 3 balls today. Petra can hit 3 balls on the nose and go 0 for 3 with a walk. I mean, that's just baseball.
Yeah.
But you got to try to position yourself. The percentages come back to you as much as they can.
Mm-hmm. You got something, JC?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, Coach, good to see you.
He's
in you know, just big picture was I was doing some research for a project and kind of look back at when you got to South Carolina compared to now, and you know, I've followed all these teams my whole life. And 1997. So in 1997, baseball hadn't been to the College World Series, had played for a national championship in 20 years, hadn't been to the CWS in 10. Football had 1 bowl win. Men's basketball, I think, had 2 NCAA tournaments since they left the ACC in the 70s. No national championships in any sport. Since you arrived, 2 national championships of baseball, played for 4. Football won the SEC East, 3 11-win seasons, a top 4 finish. Men's basketball went to the Final 4. Women's basketball became a national power and won 3 national titles, 6 Final Fours. National championship in women's track in 2002. Massive facilities upgrades, including a new arena, a new baseball stadium. Williams-Brice looks unrecognizable. All the stuff at Gamecock Park. Do you ever sit back and look and see kind of what a, for lack of a better term, blessing that and I'm not saying you had magical powers when you came in. It created all this stuff while you're coaching baseball, but there is a correlation with you arriving and the winning, not only on the field, but off the field, starting to kind of develop at the University of South Carolina that wasn't present before. What can you say about that entire, you know, not that it's over, but it's this era now that we're in here on the day that they're going to take the field on Ray Tanner Field? Well,
we're in a good spot. We have been, and it's not because of me, but I do think that things become infectious. When we had our first season in 1997. We got here in the fall of 96 after the Olympics. And I remember right before the season opened, Dr. McGee called me downstairs to his office. Now, Dr. McGee was a very intimidating man. And when you got called to his office, it normally wasn't to tell you how great you were. And I get a call from Miss Emily, Dr. McGee wants to see you. I said, right now? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, I'll be right down. So I go in and he said, sit down. And I said, yes, sir. What's the issue? And I thought maybe I'd done something or said something or one of my players was in trouble. You don't know, right? He said, I know your season's getting ready to start and you're pretty optimistic and excited about the year. I said, well, we've got some work to do and it's a tough league, but we'll be okay. And he said, that's what I want to talk to you about. He said, you're not going to be very good. And I said, well, we don't know yet. And he said, well, kind of do know. He said, it's a hard league. And he said, I don't want you to get yourself in a position that your expectations are too high. And then there's such a letdown and it makes it difficult for you personally. I mean, I thought tremendous words of wisdom. And I said, well, I appreciate that. I said, I appreciate you telling me that. And he said, so do you understand? I said, yeah, I do. I said, but we're going to be okay. He said, I don't think you can win more than you lose. He told me that. And I said, okay, well, We'll see. We don't know yet. So we went back and forth a little bit, but the challenges were there. But we started, and I had Jim Toman with me.
Yeah,
he ended up being with me for 17 years, and people always use the word recruiting. Well, both of us recruited real hard, but what Jim Toman did that very few coaches are as good as him is evaluate. We all go recruiting, right? But evaluating and recruiting are two different things.
right.
He'd see a guy and go, hey, this guy can play for us. And I'm like, really? His skill set's not quite that good. We're taking this guy. And I was in charge, and then I had to listen to him. But that's the thing. And then, the program elevated, and we won. And by 2000, we were as good as anybody.
Yeah.
Ranked number one. I had good players everywhere. And, and then things got good. And I remember, Coach Shurburtt and I had some conversations. And, he was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
He played on some great teams. And he made his teams that way. I mean, and then what Dawn Staley, she's affected so many sports here with what she's been able to do over the years. It's incredible. Her first 2 or 3 years when Coach Staley started, go back and check her record.
Yeah, it was
tough. Well, go check the last 15, right?
Right.
And it's been incredible. And we've had facility improvements. We've had a lot of good things happen. Your expectations change, and then you meet them.
Mm.
And, there's so many good teams in this conference, but I don't care what sport it is. If you can do well in this league, you have a chance to be a national champion. You have a chance. You're going to be in the top 10. You're going. The possibilities exist, and I think that is the key. I would tell my team all the time, okay, we didn't win today. It's disappointing. Let's stay in position. Let's stay in contention. Because if you do at the end of the year, now you get a new season.
Mm-hmm.
And you can win it all.
Yeah.
I think it was 03 or 04. We didn't know if we were going to make the postseason. We were in the top 7 or 8. Last weekend we were going to go to 10th or 5th based on if you won a series or not. And we ended up going to like 5th. We won the series and won a regional, won a super regional, finished third in the College World Series. And just like 4 weeks earlier, we didn't even know if we'd make the postseason. That's what the Southeastern Conference is all about.
It's listen to you go back in time and tell these stories. By the way, if Smoke pops in, just throw him on. He hadn't said anything to me yet. He must be losing. He must be getting beat.
He's probably looking for his ball. He just drove into the woods somewhere.
It's got to be around here somewhere.
The 0-2 series against Miami. So everybody knows what happened in 2000, and everybody knows what happened in 2001 in Palo Alto when Tim Whitaker almost hit a home run to send you to Omaha, but it was just short. And then 0-2, and you're split. And we were talking to Landon the other day. I brought this up to him because this breakthrough is what really kind of started y'all's run, right? And I know the 2000 team, of course, unbelievable. I'm talking about getting to Omaha. Once you got there, it was the first of 6, and that Miami team was really, even though they won the national championship in 2001, they had really struggled, barely got into the postseason, and then got hot, and they came to the Sarge to see y'all, and then there you are, right? You're split 1 apiece, and you're in game 3. You're the visitors in your own dugout, in your own field, and you're down 4-1 in the 9th inning. And of course, the Miami Miracle happens. Y'all come back and win the game. But where were you in your stat, Coach Toman and Coach Myers, Coach Lake? Where were you in the dugout? Because Coach, those are the same guys who had just gone through this in 2000, 2001. And it was like, no, not again. I was in the ballpark. That's what everybody else was saying. Like, please, God, not again. What were you doing? What were you saying? What were you doing?
Honestly, it was probably the worst time in my coaching career because 2000 we were really good. We lost 3-2 to go to Omaha, super regional. Okay, hard. 2001 we do it again, 3-2 again in the rubber game. We go to Omaha when the ball barely hits the top of the fence. We don't go. So we had really good teams. Back-to-back years. And we don't go to Omaha, which were really Omaha teams. In 2002, we're doing it again. We're in the 3rd game in the rubber game. and I'm losing 4-1 in the ninth inning. I remember like it was yesterday. I struggled those 2 years, those 3 years to that ninth inning. It was hard because it's like there's something I'm not doing to kick in that door. There's something I'm not saying. There's something that is on me. It's not on these players. There's something on me that's not getting us there when we're good enough to get there. And I tried to tell myself, well, I'm not going to lose 3-2 because it was 4-1. and lo and behold, it's like Yaron Peters, he leads off with a double. I mean, he's supposed to drive in 3 runs, right?
Yeah.
But he's the leadoff guy.
Right.
So it's like, well, it's just not even the right. It's not set up the right way, but for some reason, somehow, we score a few runs, we win the game, and it's like, wow, you talk about it's not jubilation, it's not the streamers, it's relief. It's like, my goodness, I can finally breathe. That
was at that point in time, outside of maybe the 2000 Georgia football game at Williams-Brice when Quincy Carter threw those 5 picks and a couple other moments. I don't know. I'd never been in a place that was that loud. That was loud.
It was, I guess it was what, 5,500 people, not quite as big as this place.
But it felt like 55,000.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. No question about it. And, we finally got in a position, and lo and behold, we get to Omaha and we lose and get all the way back to the finals.
Hey, do you believe you would have won the national championship if it was a 3-game series in 2002?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, we were going to play a great Texas team.
Yeah.
But I think I used Aaron Rawl. That was his 3rd appearance in the College World Series. He was just a freshman.
Right.
So if I'd have had a chance to adjust my rotation, Houston Street was the man.
Yeah.
But we would have tried to dodge him a little bit. He's going to figure into 1 win, but you had to win twice.
Right.
So no, they were great, and we might not have done it, but I would have liked their chances a little better 2 out of 3.
Well, if you would have gone to if there would have been a game 2, do you remember who would have started that game for you? Who was up?
I don't know. I can't even remember.
I can't either.
Who we would have flipped back.
But it would have. I know you had somebody coming. They just needed another day.
Well, we had to beat Clemson to get to that game, and if you remember, it was a noon game because it was CBS.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Myers and I go back to the hotel, and I said, "Hey, no sleep tonight. We're gonna do everything we can. We're gonna go through their lineup. We're gonna try to figure out anything we can to limit the damage tomorrow. And by the way, is there any chance of rain?"
Right.
So, he said, unfortunately, it's going to be beautiful tomorrow at noon on CBS. And I'm like, oh, well, that ain't working out for us. So we better just hunker down, get the coffee, and see if we can figure out a way to stop Texas a little bit.
Yeah. Coach, that 04 team was probably my favorite team of those. I don't know why. I loved watching Chad Blackwell pitch. I thought it would be – I'm not a baseball player. I thought it was be the hardest thing in the world to hit, like with his wind-up and stuff. Is wind-up a baseball term? Delivery? I don't know. But how frustrating was that year? Because I remember that team was really good, and you ran into – who was it, Jared Weaver? Was that his name? The pitcher?
Windsor.
Jason Windsor.
Yeah, Windsor. Sorry. Jared Weaver. Windsor. Out there, and he was just on fire. I don't know he didn't do much after that, I guess, but talk about that team a little bit and just kind of that journey. It was your 3rd straight trip out there. 2003 was kind of a little unlikely, to make it out, but that 04 team that battled back, like you said, the postseason was in doubt, and then all of a sudden there they go.
Well, we ended up, as you know, we played in the finals 4 times in 04. Windsor got us. I think it was a 2-0 shutout the first one. So he was just. Yep. We ran into a guy that just had it going. I mean, he just stayed out there and clicked the whole game. So it was very difficult. But that was another good team as well that could have done some things. But that's just the nature of college baseball and the College World Series. Remember a couple of years ago, now 3 years ago, Ole Miss, they the last team in the tournament, and they win the whole thing. So it's
good for Mike Bianco too.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
It's so many good teams. Separation is small. I mean, we're getting ready to open up today against the Sacred Heart team that has a lot of veteran players.
Yeah,
they got guys that have been around a little bit. They won the conference. They got a closer that has done some good things. And Coach Manir and I were talking yesterday. He said, I remember getting beat by Stony Brook in Baton Rouge. So the name on the front, don't be misled. Baseball can get you.
Yeah. Coach Lake, Coach Lake mentioned the other day. He said teams like this, they don't schedule series like this unless they think they go pull one off somewhere.
Well, it's a good point. Normally in baseball, unlike a couple other sports, you usually schedule 2 or 3 years out.
Right. So
sometimes you get a team call you, from the Northeast or Midwest or something. They'll call and say, "Hey, you want to play in, 25? Sure. Yeah, come down for the weekend. Our weather's better than yours. Come on down." And they know, though, they got a freshman team and they're going to be juniors.
They're going to be loaded.
And their guys aren't leaving,
Right.
Of course, now the portal might be different. But back then it was like you had to be leery. Now, I'll tell you, I tried to strategically play teams, whether it's an Ivy League team, that I thought would win the league because, RPI did count. Now, this league will protect you. The SEC will protect you because everybody's so good. And you got to play each other. But you play, Sacred Heart probably win their league. So this is a bigger series than you might think, just looking at the Gamecocks open up against Sacred Heart this weekend. Mm-hmm. This could be a very important series when you look at it at the end of the year.
That's a great point. That's great. Coach Maneri surely didn't let us skip over this. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago. I was down here watching him scrimmage last week. He said, "I'm telling you, they returned 5 of their top 6 hitters, 2 of their 3 starters. They got their back end guy. He's here, this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Man, I've heard you sound like Lou Holtz." I said, "I've heard this before, But when I went and did the research, I said, "Well, damn, this got 326, 315, 314. They're all back. They run a lot. 118 stolen bases last year. Got a first-year catcher, full-time catcher in Talmadge." So I'm not trying to make anything here at all. There's Tal right there at the plate about me, but I did put something on your plate. You're the guy to talk to about this. I apologize, but if you need any help with fundraising, I'll do my best.
That's what I'm into right now.
Yeah. Well, where's Coach Lake? Where's Coach Lake? What could we do here? I'm sorry. What could the University of South Carolina do to honor Sarge Fry Field on this piece of property? Because better than everybody. There's that place was so special, so many players and coaches and the third base hecklers. I don't even know if those guys are still alive, but all that stuff going on. And Coach, since in 2010, when Coach Spurrier broke through after y'all won the national championship, that was kind of like there was a new generation of fan that came here. I felt like a lot of people, we hit the map, right? And a lot of people across the country started paying attention to this place. And they don't know anything about Sarge Fry Field. And have you ever thought about that? And is there any space here to build some sort of a replica or some sort of a mini museum or something that tips our hat to it?
Well, you might not even know this, but behind the batter's eye, we do have recognition for Sarge Fry.
Yeah.
Sarge Fry Plaza.
Yeah.
But it would be neat to have like the field, a practice field. A lot of teams, we didn't have a lot of land. We do have a river behind us over here, and we don't have a lot of land, but it would be nice. When we built this place, I did try to get a practice area. So something like, and there's still possibilities that, to your point, might do a kids, like a practice field for our players, but on game weekends and things, you could have like a kids environment.
Yeah. But
that could be like the Sarge Fry Field. I got to tell you, it's a little bit eerie. I just changed offices. I just moved into a new office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the AD anymore. I don't have that nice office, and Coach Maneri got this nice office. So I've been sent back to A-ball. But the thing is, I moved into a new office, and I was unpacking a couple of boxes. This is true. And we had some cards, like trading cards back in the day. The first 2 cards in that deck You know who they were?
Hmm.
Sarge Fry. He had a trading card. We had one for him. And Justin Smoke were the first two guys. You know, that I said, you can't make this up. You know, it's incredible.
Yeah, well, the Sarge one is probably worth more, but I'd keep the Smoke one around, you know, just so he feels good about himself.
I got to tell you a Sarge story too, if we have time. Do we have time?
You got plenty of time, Coach. You can stay as long as you want.
So when I got here that first fall in '96, you know, I always didn't want to miss a practice, right? And so this one particular day, we had a threat of rain, so we put the tarp on the field after practice for the next day. And you know, that's all good. I get a call from over in the Roost, you know, the athletic department.
Yeah.
Said Sarge is looking for you. I said, looking for me, Sarge? Because I usually see him in the morning. I'd see him every morning. And I said, yeah, he wants to talk to you. I said, okay, well, I'll come over there. So I came over and he said, hey, Bubba. He called you Bubba. He said, hey, Bubba, we don't cover the field in the fall. I said, sir? He said, we don't cover the field. I said, Sarge, we've got a threat of rain. If I lose practice days, I don't get to add them on. So NCAA, I need to practice. He said, let me explain something to you, Bubba. This playing surface is like one of the best in the country. We have to grow grass. We're not going to burn it up with a tarp. And we gotta let nature take its course. And I said, yes, sir, I hear you loud and clear. And so from that point on, after practice, I would wait till I knew he was at home and it was dark. And then I'd call the players, okay, let's go. And then we would get it off before Sarge could get to us. I had to sneak around, but you know, it was that playing surface. I mean, obviously, this was beautiful, but the playing surface at the Sarge,
yeah,
it was like a putting green. But
yeah,
I was scared to death of Sarge, and he was going to catch me.
That is too funny. The difference, the biggest difference in this ballpark, and obviously I'm being facetious here, is when you hit a ball off the wall here. Nobody knows about it unless you're in the ballpark. You hit a ball off the wall at the Sarge, everybody in Shandon knew about it, you know, because that metal wall was something.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, miss that place. So many special moments.
I got a couple more Sarge stories real quick.
Yeah, man.
So we were practicing one day at the Sarge, and it was not going well. It was one of those practices that, you know, I was screaming over here. I was instructing on this side. I'd see something out there, you know, and it was miserable. Well, Sarge would come to practice sometimes and stay up top, a little perch there on the first base side.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw him up there, and I'm so irritated on the field. You know, I said to one of my coaches, I got to go talk to Sarge. I just wanted to get off the field. I was just bubbling, you know, just irritated. And so I go up. I'm standing there with Sarge, and I go, what's up, Sarge? How are you? He said, I'm good. So we're chatting for a minute, and he said, how's it going? I said, it's a bad practice, Sarge. It's bad. It's not a good day. And he said, I just had to come up here and talk to you to get away from those guys. He looked at me, and he said, well, who do you think's the happiest? I said, what do you mean? He said, that you got away from them or they got away from you? I said, Sarge, that's a good point. You know? Then another time we weren't playing real well, you know, and we were scuffling some, and I said to him, Sarge, I said, dang it. I said, Dr. McGee's gonna be upset with me. I said, we're supposed to be good and we're not playing well. And he said, you ain't gotta worry about that. You ain't gotta worry about that, Bubba. I said, how come? He said, because he hired you. I said, well, does that make a difference? He said, oh, yeah, makes a difference. Okay. But, you know, he was such a treat. You know, he was so good. I mean, he made coffee every morning in the athletic department. He'd come in and make coffee.
Like at the Roundhouse?
Yeah, make this huge coffee thing for everybody. And of course, they got there before they did.
Mhm.
And he made coffee for everybody. Now, if there was a morning that the coffee wasn't made, the place shut down. It was like all the men, the coaches, the women that worked there were like, "Where's Sarge? Go look for him. Call him." We couldn't get anything done till we wanted to make sure Sarge was good to go that day.
That's funny. Yeah, you didn't have Keurigs back then, right?
No.
You didn't just pop the thing
No.
in. I've got
That's
that problem
hilarious.
now. I gave my wife, she wanted one of those fancy schmancy coffee makers for Christmas. Not the $1,000 ones, but it was like $300 because she said, I want to go back to having a carafe of coffee in the morning. I think
Yeah.
that's how you say the word, right?
Yeah.
But she wanted a grinder in it so she could grind her own coffee beans.
Yes.
I said, all right, well, that's fine. And but I got smart because she was insisting, oh, you just set it every night, this, that, and the other. Well, since I got her that coffee maker, she has forgot to set the coffee over half the time. And I wake up at 5:30 every morning, basically. I'm up before everybody. But Coach, I outsmarted my wife for the one and only time since we've been married because I bought her one that also had a Keurig in it. So when I get downstairs in the morning, she forgot the coffee again. Just go back to the K-Cups, and everybody wins. Because that'd be a major issue in our marriage if I'm going an hour or so without my coffee. I don't function without it. I have to have it. I gotta have it from 5:30 to 6:30.
I got the same coffee maker, by the way.
You do?
Yeah.
You grind your own
I
beans?
grind it some, but then I have the K cup if I want.
Yeah.
So it's according to the schedule.
It doesn't taste as good. I didn't realize what I was missing.
Yeah.
Because I got addicted to the K cups.
Right.
They aren't as good as the grinds.
No, no.
We found this brand called Kick Ass Coffee.
Nah, I don't have that.
It's got all the different. We ordered 10 different flavors of beans. I'll be honest.
Is that
with you.
is that your NIL deal?
I don't kick ass at anything. I'm looking. I'm searching. It comes via Amazon. That's why we got it, because I don't have to go buy it. It shows up at the doorstep. Well, not that you didn't have enough going on. You've only got capital project improvements and all that stuff, and now you got to worry about building a Sarge Fry replica.
Yeah.
Here. Sorry about that.
You put that on my plate.
Yeah.
Is that before the museum or after?
Yeah. We definitely want the museum. That's
whatever you say.
I'll see Jeremiah later today. He'll be out here, so I'll tell him that. Hey, I know you're trying to build a museum over at the stadium, but I got this guy that wants to start.
That's right. And we got a couple other ideas for him too.
Yeah.
Coach. It's all right. Yeah, send them our way.
We're sitting right here. That used to be Ray Tanner. That says Jeremiah Donati now.
Yeah.
You just send him in here with me. I'll tell him what we're thinking.
Now, he was a basketball player in college.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to teach him a slider today, probably.
Yeah. This is. Have y'all had a chance to spend much time together?
A little bit. He's been on the go, as you can imagine, and but he's great. I mean, he's a guy with a great vision, and I think that we'll continue to grow this athletic department and his impact here among all of our sports, and in a very challenging time with revenue sharing and NIL and where we're going. I don't think anybody really knows. There's just a lot of speculation, but we really don't know yet. And in April we'll have a better idea once the judge makes a decision on the settlement. But it's just a different time, and I certainly believe that Jeremiah Donati is a great man to take on the task going forward. Yeah,
he's I've never met him. I hope to meet him sometime this weekend. But he it's still so strange for everybody. I still think that Coach Tanner's in charge of the athletics department. To be honest, it happens all the time. Yeah, we do it all the time, and I
think I wrote that the other day, like in an article. I had to go back and correct it.
Yeah, well, I mean, just even with baseball, I mean, it's just now this is new here. The whole team out here
bunting.
Well, yeah, number one. No, not. But having the entire group go down the line like this and get, what are they getting, 2 or 3 pitches apiece?
It looks like it.
I've been to a lot of pregames around here, and I hadn't seen this at all in a while. You never did anything like this.
No, I did not. I cut most of my teams. I couldn't get them to line up, so that would have been a problem. That's good. Look, Coach Maneri, he's out there teaching. He's. You see him? He was doing this. Look, this form, his fundamentals over there.
The accountability between how you did things and how he does things, there is a lot of similarity there. There's no doubt. I guess that's what I think the two of you have like 3,000 wins or something all time if you put them together.
Well, he's got over 1,500. I'm not quite there. So
you had 700 here, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm shy. I think I'm shy of 1,200, but he's awesome. And like I said earlier, attention to detail, playing the game the right way, respecting the game. And that's what I talked about yesterday to the team, that, it's not hard to hustle. It's not hard to compete. That doesn't take any special quality. It doesn't matter how big, tall you are, strong you are. You can do those things. And, you can't have the anxiety. Hustle doesn't require any stress. It's a decision that you make.
Right.
And being tough, is, you got 2 strikes, you're going to fight like the Dickens to put a ball in play.
Right.
It's not just accepting the strikeout. That's probably the biggest thing that I've had with baseball over the last ever how many years.
Yeah.
The strikeout is okay. It's never been okay with me. It's just not. I don't care if you're the power hitter or the leadoff guy. I probably would tell Christian Walker when he was here, you don't need to cut down too much on 2 strikes or Justin Smoke. But it's just like that part of the game has changed. So that makes all the intangibles make a difference in college baseball.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. As a breath of fresh air, because a lot of people have just accepted the fact that striking out is okay, and it really isn't. It doesn't do a whole lot of good. Hopefully, these guys get some of that cleaned up. We'll let you run. I do want to ask you one decently serious question before we get you out of here in a couple of minutes. And Smoke, by the way, did say, he texted me, he said he'd click on around 1. Which means, he's probably lost a couple.
Let's just stop everything. Making a turn.
Here's the worst part. Blake Cooper's up at 105. So if I bump him back for Smoke, you know how pissed he's going to get. Hey, he already hates the fact that Roth is like the only guy that pitched on the 2010 team.
One thing I want you to do, and I'm not going to give you this. You got to do the research.
Okay.
So I want you to compare. I want you to look at the box score, the line score between Blake Cooper and Garrett Cole when they pitched against each other in Omaha when we won in 2010. I want you to look at the Blake Cooper's line against Garrett Cole's line.
Well, I used to know it. And now what part are you getting at here? Pitch count or hits?
No, it's just the line. What line did you leave with? Cooper left with 8 innings, I think. Garrett left with 7.
Yeah.
We had like 9 hits. Cooper had given up 2, struck out 10. It was like, because I remember when Garrett signed his last big deal with the Yankees, I couldn't help it, and Blake was coaching at Citadel. I couldn't help it. I picked the phone up. I said, "Hey, you got a minute?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I just saw Garrett Cole just signed a $350 million deal with the Yankees." I said, "How you doing?" I said, because I look at the box score. I mean, you're far superior.
Wow.
So,
8 innings and 3 hits. 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. I mean, he killed it.
Unbelievable.
He was throwing a sinker and Garrett was throwing at 98.
Yeah. Blake was the guy you wonder in the 3rd if he was going to be around in the 4th, and you look up in the 8th, he's still in there.
Yeah, that's incredible. I was out to dinner a few nights ago with Coach Maneri, and we started talking. Obviously, all I would do is talk baseball. And he said, you had a lot of good teams. He said, but I don't remember you having too many guys that threw hard. I said, what are you saying? I didn't have Aaron Nola, and I didn't have Ben McDonald. What are you saying? He said, no, really, you really didn't have, a lot of first round, second rounders. I said, no, I didn't. I had pitchability guys. I had Michael Roth who threw slingshots from the left side.
Yeah.
And I had Blake Cooper who would sink at about 3 inches.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had. And, would I have taken those other guys? Sure, I would have. But it's just a difference. You can win baseball a lot of different ways.
You did. One of the winningest and best coaches in the history of the game. Coach, this is going to be an awesome weekend for you, man. I know that that Miss Karen and your family, your kids, I know they're excited. I know it makes you a little uncomfortable, but you deserve that.
Well,
thanks for everything.
You're very kind, but it really is. It's all about all of us. You know, the players, the coaches, our great fan base, and our donors, and the university. You know, I got a pretty handwriting, but other than that, that's the only thing that comes out of it.
I asked Clark Cox about that. I said, how'd you come up with the logo? And he kind of told us how they did it. I said, that Ray Tanner is, that's perfect. You know, that is a perfect signature.
Well, you know what they say? Guys with good handwriting, not real smart. You ever seen a doctor with a pretty handwriting? Never.
No.
Never.
Oh, my wife, you can't read it.
No,
she's a
see,
doctor.
Well, you can read that. So what does that tell you? Just got to be honest sometimes.
Yeah, man. Well, whatever it was, it all worked out. You got number 1 on the wall and Ray Tanner back here behind home plate. I can't wait to see this tomorrow. All these guys here for you. Congratulations on everything. You're the man. It's an honor to have you on.
Always great to visit with you. You got a good show.
Yeah,
you got a good show.
No, it's because of y'all. Nobody would want to sit here and watch us all the time. You know, everybody wants to hear all of y'all and Coach Beamer and everybody who gets to come on.
Although I was like number 6 in line today. Is that the way it was?
No, that's the time I was given. Christy,
I got a little smoke in me. I mean, how many guys you had to get to before you got down to me?
Well, we had our bodyguard Monty. He had to come up. You know, no, Christy said noon. I said noon would be fine.
Well, that's why Christy has been with me for 27 years. She makes me work. She said you can go do the show during your lunch hour. I said, well, how about lunch? She said, look yourself in the mirror. It ain't gonna hurt you to miss a meal. that's just the way it works. So I said, okay, I got it. I'll do it at lunchtime.
Well, Tillman got in before lunchtime. He wasn't missing lunch today. I don't think so. Coach, thank you, man.
All right, good to see you.
We'll hit a quick timeout. We'll be right back for the final hour.
Yeah, tell Smoke hello, will you?
I will. Yeah, he'll be on in a second.